So first off, set the scene a little bit and tell us a little bit about what the plot of Cage Fighter is and who your character is.
Yeah, so Cagefighter is basically an MMA based around an MMA promotion called Legends, and uh, their champion is kind of run through his division, and is kind of run out of challengers at this point. And there's a notable professional wrestler that's looking to cross over into MMA. One of, if not the biggest star in pro wrestling, and the promoter sees an opportunity here to kind of cross over and kind of make this kind of super fight of sorts. Whereas obviously, MMA purists will say that it's a circus act trying to bring a pro wrestler into MMA, and the MMA fighter doesn't quite take it seriously, doesn't really want the challenge, but is kind of, like, hey, this guy's popular, make his fans your fans, and if it's that easy, go have an easy night work. And it doesn't quite pan out that way, and it kind of goes from there. But there's also some, it's not just about fighting. It's there's a story there to be told that's personal, overcoming personal problems to try to triumph over those and those things as well. So that's basically the gist of the movie. Kind of very relevant to what's going on right now and what we see really happening. We see a lot of pro wrestlers that have crossed over in MMA, like Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley's done it. Obviously, CM Punk, Jake Hager has done it as well, and vice versa. We see MMA fighters. WWE has a wrestler named Matt Riddle who fought in the UFC. We see other MMA fighters crossing over into wrestling as well. So it's a very relevant subject to what we're seeing happen in both sports at this point.
Now talk a little bit about your character and how he fits into the plot.
Yeah, so my character is a guy named Stephen Drake, and he's basically the host of the biggest MMA radio show. So he's kind of like an Ariel Helwani type, where he breaks news. He interviews the fighters and promoters, and is always looking for that next scoop and wants to be the first one to get it out there. So that's kind of who I play.
Did you base your performance on any particular real person?
No, not really. It's just that I've dealt with a lot of, I've done a lot of interviews with that. I was a professional wrestler before, obviously, and so I've done a lot of interviews with. So I just kind of took some of the things that I've from interviewers that I've interviewed in the past and kind of applied them to this.
So tell us a little bit about what's the transition like for you, going from wrestling into acting. Is it a comfortable transition for you? I know you did some acting in the past.
Yeah, no, it's obviously, when I stepped out of the ring, it was like, what's that next challenge, And I always viewed myself as being able to do more than just be a wrestler. That was a big part of my life, but it was just that, a part of my life. And when the time came, I was going to move on and try other things. And it's fun, to do, like, I wrestled so long and got to the top level that it was never easy, but also my confidence was there 100%, that, like, I knew that I was at the top of my game, and now it's kind of almost like starting over again, trying to build that foundation that I built as a wrestler, but in a different kind of genre. So it was exciting. And I've always kind of been of the belief of, if you want to get better at something, then you work with people that are better than you. And so I've always tried to, whoever I've worked with as far as acting goes, always tried to, talk to them and pick their brain and ask them questions and pick up things they did the same way that I did when I was coming up wrestling. So I just kind of attacked it the same way, but it's a fun challenge, and it's a good creative outlet as well. And also don't have to get slammed or thrown down. So that's a bonus.
So talk about that experience of knowing when it was enough with wrestling, and was it health reasons? Was it like, what was it for you?
Yeah. Well, I had some injuries, and I was turning 40, and I was just like, maybe it's time to kind of pack it in here. I've had a great career, and I never wanted to be one of those guys that held on too long. So it was just my time. And like I said, I've always been confident in my abilities to be able to do other things. So it just seemed like it was the right time to start making that happen.
I know you had a long and illustrious wrestling career, but was there a moment that was like the thing that really stands out to you as being the highlight of your years in wrestling?
Yeah, winning the world title for the very first time. I played it over in my head a million times when I was a kid. Made make believe titles and belts, and wrestling with my brothers and my friends, and um, then to get into the business. Like I never got into it just to it's how I wanted. It's what I wanted to do for my career. And when I got in, I was like, I was in all the way. And it was a long road. It took me 17 years to get to the top and to become the champion. But I'd say that was probably the biggest moment because I felt like I really had worked hard and I'd earned it at that point in time.
Were there ever things like when you jumped off a 30-foot ladder or something like that that you're like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah, lots of times because I was the ladder matches, right? So like, there's a lot of times where I was standing on top of a ladder and you look out and you see 60,000 people in the stadium. Like, what am I doing? Like, this is not going to end well. But it's so I look back now, it's kind of scary. But at the time when you're young and you're, you don't really think about getting hurt.
Great. So tell us, Will, what other projects do you have coming up after this?
Right now it's kind of just wait and see with everything going on with the pandemic, and we've got a couple other things that can't really speak on that haven't been announced yet, but there should be fun little projects. And I was also doing some analyst work on Fox with WWE Backstage and some things like that. So managing to keep busy through the whole pandemic, and like everybody else, just trying to make the best of it and stay healthy.